Muniangalie vizuri. Jina langu ni Masharia. Ili tukisonga kutoka kwa muhula wa Uhuru Kenyatta, Mungu akipenda tuingie kwa muhula wa Musalia Mudavadi Masharia.
Well, tonight on the program, terms like safe pair of hands and a compromise candidate have been bandied around by his supporters as the reason why Kenya should consider him as a possible successor to President Uhuru Kenyatta. But in a country we all know is facing the effects of a global pandemic and a struggling economy, are those enough in terms of necessary attributes for someone who will need to make the hard decisions that the next head of state will need to? Coincidentally, it's also his birthday. But he's found time to join us on Newsnight this evening, and we get into a big interview at this moment. Remember, 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag is Newsnight. ANC Party Leader Musalia Mudavadi, once again, thanks for making time for us on the program.
Asante sana.
I think let's just wrap up with this whole birthday celebration discussion, because I mentioned it before we took that break. Yeah. What does a presidential candidate do on their birthday, a year before a monumentous election like the one coming up?
Well, we take it in our stride. Today I was happy that I woke up very well to a good wish from my family, my wife. And then at the office, I got a surprise reception by members of my staff. It could not have been better.
And now you're on Newsnight. I don't know if
I'm on Newsnight.
I don't know if that's right. How that will pan out, but let's get straight into it.
Great.
We'll get back to the fuel discussion shortly, but there's a clip I want you to listen to.
Yes.
Because we need to understand from you where the One Kenya Alliance is this evening. Let's play that clip.
Hakuna mchezo. There's no joking anymore. We have some sacred business to save this country. And we'll go everywhere to make that clear. Therefore, OCA is a sacred movement.
The One Kenya Alliance, according to Kalonzo Musyoka, is a sacred movement. What is the status of the One Kenya Alliance this evening, party leader?
My friend, it's a conversation that is ongoing. We have a team of technical people working on a very well-crafted process of us finally being able to append our signatures to a coalition document. I say so, bearing in mind that we are within the IEBC deadlines, because to register a coalition, you would have to submit as a deadline by March next year or February. So we have a little bit of time to work on a better detail. Secondly, we want to make it clear that the One Kenya conversation and process is not a closed shop. We know that there are going to be a lot of political realignments and formations. So we want to also be able to accommodate other Kenyans who would want to subscribe to the One Kenya situation.
If the One Kenya Alliance is such a game changer, there wouldn't be this hesitation, some say almost confusion, moments of silence, then a lot of activity in this. What is hindering the One Kenya Alliance from becoming a reality?
It will be a reality.
What is hindering it?
There's nothing hindering it. It will be a reality. As I've said, we are open and we are having a conversation with just beyond the parties that initially came to fore and said that we want to constitute the One Kenya Alliance. So this conversation is ongoing. We are reaching out to other people, and the reality will show itself in due course.
So when we see you in Meru, when we see you in Nyahuru, when we see you all over central Kenya and western Kenya, are you going there as the ANC party leader? Are you going there as a presumptive presidential candidate for One Kenya Alliance?
You know, there's absolutely nothing different in this situation, because we have, even in the US, whether you're looking at the Republican process or you're looking at the Democratic process, they would start off with quite a number of candidates showing an interest in the presidency. And subsequently, at the end of the day, one will emerge as the candidate that is preferred by that particular party. Now, in this context, there is nothing wrong in Musalia promoting ANC, or Kalonzo promoting the Wiper Democratic Party, or Gideon promoting KANU, and Wetangula promoting the Ford Kenya. At the end of the day, that is part of the build-up. And this is not new to Kenya, my friend.
So when the technical team will finally bring its final verdict on the way forward for the One Kenya Alliance, and it becomes necessary for strategic reasons for you to support maybe Raila, maybe Kalonzo, or Gideon for president in a new formation, will you accept that?
What we are talking about is One Kenya. So you must talk about the candidates who would be participating in One Kenya.
Okay, let's say...
We cannot bring in a candidate who is outside the One Kenya framework. So if somebody wants to be supported by One Kenya, it would be important that they are part of the framework. So if you are not, then that is a different ballgame.
So, okay, let's remove Raila from that discussion. So would you support Kalonzo? Would you support Gideon Moi, for example?
There is a process, and consensus building is one of the processes that we would get to. After all, even in this country, previous coalitions, the presidential candidate has finally been arrived at through some consensus building. And there's a process that will inform that decision.
I was hoping for a yes or no answer, some clarity for our viewers.
No, I've given you the clarity. I've said that there's a process. Let the process be carried through.
Were any, before we switch gears, were any of the One Kenya Alliance's plans halted by that Court of Appeal verdict on the BBI? Did that change this in any way?
No, they did not at all. They did not in any way alter the plans. All right? The One Kenya coalition is not premised, at least from my perspective, is not premised on the BBI process.
But what do you promise those who will not get the presidential slot or the deputy president slot? Help me understand this.
We have to live with the constitution that exists. You cannot create a framework that does not conform with the constitution of the day. So as things stand now, the constitution of 2010 is the one in play. No alteration has been made to that constitution. So we have to bite the bullet and work within the framework of the constitution as it is.
Do you believe the president that Kenyans will finally get in 2022 will be fully elected at the ballot, or might there be any other considerations? Just this morning, I believe, on Daybreak, Governor Kimemia, who's not just been a governor, you know the kind of roles he's played, alluded to the deep state playing a crucial role in who will become the next president of this country. Well, and a man like that.
I just want to tell you
And if we can get that clip a bit later on, we will play it.
I'll just tell you this. The stability of this country will depend on the will of the Kenyan through the ballot. That is where stability lies. And I would like to let all Kenyans know that it is the process of having a free and fair election that will guarantee stability and strengthen the democratic process of this country. Anything outside that is dangerous and should not be entertained.
So when you hear of media reports, and let's put a picture up of a meeting we saw you in last month in Mombasa, together with ODM leader Raila Oidnga, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, hosted by President Uhuru Kenyatta, and we can actually put that picture up. While we were told that you discussed COVID-19, but you also discussed other matters. Some say that this is a meeting to possibly influence who will be a joint presidential, who will be the supported presidential candidate for 2022.
My friend, that is pure speculation.
Help us understand what was then discussed. And it
is pure speculation. And my friend, I have to respect the presidency. And Kenyans need to respect the presidency. You cannot have a conversation with the president and make it look like it's a market piece of conversation. We have to grow out of this as a nation. But I can tell you for free that Kenya's leader shall be determined through the ballot and not through a boardroom engagement.
This is not a marketplace. This is national TV.
I gave...
But when I mean, okay, let me give you one headline.
No, figuratively, the point I made is that when you have a conversation with the president, honestly, at a person of my level, I will not just go all over the place and say I have discussed this and that with the president.
Now that pikes our curiosity.
There must be some etiquette in this country on matters like this. Because it's not an easy issue. Okay, a conversation with the president is held in confidence.
I wanted to seek...
And where we agreed that it should be communicated, he was the host, so it is his presidential press service that made the communication. Let
me tell you what I'm looking for, Party, and I respect your view on this one. When a media outlet states that the president meets opposition leaders to get them to confirm, for example, to support Raila Oidnga as the presidential candidate. That's what one publication went with. I wanted to give you a chance to clarify if there's any truth.
There was no truth in that. It was false.
That was a false headline.
Yes, and I made it public. In fact, you covered me. This is the media house here, covered me when I issued a statement jointly with Kalonzo and Wetangula, and we said there was no such conversation.
So just to get this on the record, there are no boardroom deals. 2022 is still wide open. We will not be...
It is wide open. It is the voter. And we need to make this, the vote count. We need to make every Kenyan's vote count. All right? If we continue to perpetuate some rumors about boardroom engagements, you are going to create voter apathy. You are going to create the mentality that there's a rigging process or mechanism being put in place. I don't think that is healthy for this country. We are just about to embark on mass voter registration. Let that come out smoothly and let the IEBC be adequately equipped, both financially, technologically, and in terms of human resource, so that Kenyans can vote and their vote must count.
Okay, fair enough. I want us to switch gears a little bit. And we've been seeing some interesting activities around you and your party over the last couple of days and weeks. Your deputy party leader, Ayub Savula, we recently saw him at the EACC together with Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, and he made an interesting statement just outside those revolving doors. Let's listen to that.
We are quoting Anne Waiguru as ANC. I'm here as the deputy party leader. We don't want this governor to be intimidated by anybody. We know it's because of politics. We know in Central it's so difficult to sell a certain political party and a certain individual who is contesting for presidency. We are quoting her. That's why we are here. You have to quote a girl. Pole, 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 pole. That's why you are standing in solidarity with her as ANC. Don't tell us Vitu Ruto.
Are you quoting Governor Anne Waiguru as your potential running mate?
No. Let me put it this way. We are not quoting any specific person for the running mate. We are open. We are looking at it openly. And that was Savula. In his peak of excitement, he made his comments. I asked him and he said there were personal statements, although he may have made some reference to the ANC, because no such commitment has been made.
Are you worried that your deputy party leader would go on camera and make such weighty statements without consulting you?
I have talked to him about it because that was not even a party meeting. He says he was there in solidarity as an individual. There was no other party official there, was there?
And not to the best of my knowledge?
No, there wasn't.
So you disown his statements, they are not the position of the party this evening?
It was his personal statement.
So what are your requirements for a running mate? You've told us you're on the ballot. You're not playing second fiddle to anyone. What is Musalia Mudavadi looking for in a running mate?
You'd be looking for integrity. Okay? You'd be looking for an individual, male or female, whom you can actually work with, where your chemistries can work. Okay? In fact, I was asked this particular question not too long ago, and I said, this is what Kenya needs. Because you cannot have a situation where the two topmost people, a president and the deputy president, are working at cross purposes. All right? So when looking for this, you must look at somebody that you can work with, somebody with integrity, somebody that you believe you will not be looking over your shoulder if you're moving to some other assignment. There has to be trust that ensues because of that partnership. So it behoves on us as Kenyan people to take the issue of identifying a running mate much more seriously than we may have taken it in the past.
Has President Uhuru Kenyatta spent his time looking over his shoulder? Is that the example you're alluding to?
I think he has had a rough time, let's face it. Yeah, there's nothing to hide here. I mean, it's in the public domain. Their first 5 years were okay. There was a lot of synergies that we were seeing. But the second half, it doesn't take rocket science to know that there have been challenges.
So how do you handle this? And there are lessons learned from history. They say history is a very important teacher because it tends to repeat itself.
Yes.
Will you pick a running mate who doesn't have ambitions? Or how will you manage those ambitions as you seek your legacy if Kenyans give you that approval next year?
You know, one of the qualities of even a deputy or a running mate is that you must be able to manage your ambition. I'm not saying that people should not be ambitious. Politics is also driven by ambition. Mm-hmm. The desire to serve and the ambition to move forward to influence decisions. So there's nothing wrong in having an ambitious individual. But how does that individual manage their ambition? Now, Shakespeare once said that if you want to jump onto a horse, make sure that you manage that ambition well, because if you overdo it, you'll find yourself on the other side of the horse. All right? So this is the message that we have to put across. Let us manage our ambitions.
Speaking of your ambitions,
let us learn to respect each other. I mean, can you imagine if you're in other countries, maybe the US, where we have a presidential system, more or less the constitution we adopted, Biden and his deputy having tiffs and all that. It will undermine public delivery of services. It could even trickle down to the security agencies in a fragile economy like ours and a fragile democracy like ours. So we have to be very careful.
I need to take a short break, but before we get to that, speaking of ambitions, you've actually spent an inordinate amount of time in central Kenya this year. From Meru, you name it. I believe possibly 10, 15, 20 visits at a time like this. What's the end game of these movements?
That is, let's face it, these are very enlightened Kenyans, very strong on the ballot.
Mount Kenya residents?
Yes, the whole region. They have, remember, you're talking of a region that has produced 3 presidents. All right? So their level of political awareness and issues has got to be taken very, very seriously. So we are moving there. I am moving there because it is a vote-rich area. These are people who have had a lot of wealth of experience in governments, and it would be important to work with them.
Are you talking about their leaders or the people?
Even the
people. Been in government.
No, even the people. Wahiga, let me tell you this. Let us not pretend that there's no advantage in a region if it can produce 3 presidents in a row. Let us not pretend. There are certain advantages, certain awarenesses that come with that.
For example?
Let's look at the participation in public service. Let us look at the entrepreneurial skills. They don't just sprout out. They come out of years of building and understanding what public issues are. So let us give them that credit, all right? So let us listen to them. There's a wealth of experience there. And then there are votes there. But more important also is that, do you know, they are now more or less coming to a situation close to what we have had. You know, when you do not have a candidate.
That you're talking about Western Kenya, so
yes.
Mount Kenya now is looking a lot like Western Kenya.
Yes, when you do not have a candidate on the ballot, it can become very hard to marshal the support in that region. So here is something they might learn from us.
Okay, I will ask more after this break. Let's take that short break. Do we have that clip by the nominated MP, Godfrey Osotsi? Yes, let's play just a little bit of it before we take the break, then we'll come back with that. If we have that clip ready, remember 22422 is the SMS line, hashtag is Newsnight. But before we take that break, here was a message from Godfrey Osotsi to the ANC party leader a couple of days ago. This is what he warned him.
Niko na ushahidi na mimi siogopi kusema, na hili ni jambo ambalo limekuwa ndani ya roho yangu, kwamba tuna wabunge fulani ambao wanajifanya wanakutetea, wanaongea kwa bidii, sana sana wana-attack sana Mheshimiwa Raila Oidnga. Hawa viongozi si wa ukweli, kwa sababu mchana wako na wewe, usiku wa kwa William Ruto. Na hawa tunawajua. Mheshimiwa Malala, wewe ukiongea mbaya kwa Ruto, unapiga simu unaambiwa.
Are there moles in the ANC camp? That's what we'll find out from the ANC party leader. Plus, we'll read your feedback as well on the other side of this break. You're watching Newsnight. Stay with us. 2242 is the SMS line. Hashtag is Newsnight. We carry on with the party leader, and he tells us 2022 presidential candidate to the end on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.